So you guys, my heart is actually beating a little bit right now because I'm afraid of spiders. This is going to be a quick story. And I look out through the window here and there's a huge spider. And for whatever reason, I choose to just like go like that on the window because she's sitting outside of the window. She turns around and she's so big that I can see her eyes. And she's just like, girlfriend, don't mess with me. Hold on, I'm going to see if you guys can see her. Hold on. Just real quick, how do I turn this around? Guys, meet my friend. Meet my friend. Apparently spiders mean, feminine energy and creativity, so maybe she's here to support us. I don't know. But she stared me right into my eyes. So, hi. All right. Burn the house down immediately. Yeah, I'm not too far away from that, but I'm gonna embrace her now. I'm gonna take her in because we're gonna be talking about nature today and how beautiful and amazing it is. We have the incredible Ameya Cohen with us today, and I'm gonna find her in a minute. For those of you who found this live through the AMMA page, I am one of the co-founders of AMMA, Emily Baldoni. I co-founded the company together with the incredible Satya Twina. Oh my gosh, so many of you did the cold shower thing. That's amazing. Okay, Justin and I are doing a cold shower challenge. Check it out. I'm gonna stop talking and find the lovely Ameya. Okay, shake off the spider vibes. Or rather connect with them. Hi.
Hello.
Yay, we did it.
We
How
did
are
it.
you?
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so guys, Ameya is an expert herbalist and a flower essence therapist. I think that is just so amazing, and we're going to talk about what that is. And you're also an inspirational speaker, counselor, feminine embodiment mentor, and the author of The Healthy Feminine Leader: Alleviate Stress, Balance Your Hormones, and Tap into Your Power. What a delicious journey you are on. And I just have to start by asking, what put you there? Why this? I mean, it sounds amazing.
I know. It is
Tell
amazing.
us your why.
Oh my gosh. I think so much that happens in our lives just sort of it just happens, and we get to choose, am I on board or am I going to resist this?
True.
Right. And so for me, that's been so much of my journey onto this path, because I grew up like a normal suburban family and person, and I went to college and was like, I'm free and I get to be whoever I am. And I just found this amazing path of nature, or it found me, or we found each other.
Right.
And it was just the soul, I could get like teary talking about it. It was just a really great soul reunion of who I am. And so my why, that's a big question, Emily.
That is a huge question. I'm sorry. I just threw it right
You
at you.
just like went right for it.
I was just thinking because I was reading your bio and I was just like, oh, wow, what an interesting journey. I did not even know that that you could be a flower essence therapist, which is so amazing. But we're going to dive into it, and I'm sure your why will be.
Yeah, I'll weave my why in later. Yeah.
Connected in it. So, the why we are talking about this today is well, first of all, Satya, our dear friend and my business partner. But what's interesting to me, because I don't know much about this world, your world, but I've always been one, and I think I told you this on our phone call, that if I go on a walk and I pass a rose, I have to stop and smell it. And my husband always says that's one of the most amazing things that I will teach our children, is to literally stop and smell the roses. And it always makes me feel good, but I just write it off as, well, they're beautiful and they smell good. And going to the grocery store and seeing these little bottles of essential oils or flower essences, you know, you read on them and it says stuff like, this will help you determine what to do with your life if you're lost on your path, or this one will instill more self-esteem if you're feeling inferior. And, you know, a part of me just goes, I'm going to buy it all and just marinate in this all day. The part of me that just like, yes. And then there's the, you know, the rational part of our brain that just goes, but wait a minute, how can a flower help you with your self-esteem? And then that doubt creeps in. So my first question before we talk about what it really is and how it's done is, how can we get past this idea that it's just airy-fairy, hippie woo-woo stuff that stops us from even reading about it or learning about it or buying that bottle, and connecting back to the fact that our ancestors have been doing this forever, and that there's wisdom in it. So how do we get past that first bump of, this is ridiculous, this is silly?
That's such a, I mean, it's such a potent question for all of us. And you know, feel like there's so many layers and ways to answer the question, but I will just bring it to this place first, is that, you know, I'm sure there's studies on this, but just our own experience is that we all feel better in nature. Right?
So true.
Just like you're saying,
can't
like,
deny that.
when I just want to stop and smell the flowers, and there's something that gets invoked in myself.
Yeah.
Right. And there's all these actual therapies in hospitals, horticulture therapies of getting patients out into the gardens and flowers. And so this is real and true that we're made up of the earth. I mean, we are of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so we feel better when we are in our gardens, when we're out on a walk, when we're not with technology, when it's just, that's kind of just a truth that we all carry. And the other piece that I'll bring in, you know, about our own skepticism is that I think that's so much just the conditioning of our world. But if we can separate that out and come into our own truth, we usually find the most accurate and resonant answer. And so this piece of like, how can a flower help with our self-esteem, right? It's like, yes, there's just the actuality of how good we feel in nature. But to just bring a, like, sort of a microcosm understanding of flower essences is that you're working with the spirit, the vibration of a flower. And if we're coming from this belief that, Emily, you have a vibration, and this other woman here who's listening has a vibration and a frequency, and we're not just physical bodies, then we come to this going, oh, I can have an experience of spirit to spirit, which doesn't happen very often. Right. So that's where we go, what? But I'm sure you had it when you were pregnant, right? It's like, you don't know this being, but there's a spirit. You're connecting spirit to spirit. Or maybe when you met your partner, or maybe in other people in your life, there's a spirit connection and resonance. And so if we believe, I happen to be looking here because I have all these roses.
Yes.
This smells so good. But if we believe that every plant or tree has a spirit, you know, and I know for me, my grandmother, when she would garden, she would talk to the tomatoes and she would talk to the strawberries.
Our grandmothers did that, right?
Right. And there was a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we come from, when you're met spirit to spirit, anything that's not of spirit, which is all the wound that created that self-worth stuff, starts to disappear. Right? It's like pretty, I mean, it sounds simplistic, and it is, and that's why flower essences are miracles. And I don't say that lightly at all. And that's why I love speaking about them, because there's so many ways that we suffer and we normalize all of our emotions. And with the right flower essence, it all starts to release and dissipate.
That is so amazing.
It's so amazing.
You know what? I think people are, I feel like this very, I don't know what to call it, crazy season that we're in right now.
Right.
I feel like I'm, at least for myself, and I'm looking around, I'm talking to my friends and my community, that people are connecting back to nature
Yeah.
in a new way. And I think we're opening the doors to this even being a possibility. There's a different kind of communication to our planet right now. Like, I think we're realizing what we've done. We've been sent to our room to think about what we've done, and now connecting back to it and rebuilding that relationship. So I'm so happy that you're on with me today, because this is the good stuff. So can we just start with breaking down what are flower essences? What do we mean when we talk about it, and how do they help? How are they used? What does that process even look like?
Yeah. So let's begin by saying flower essences are different than essential oils.
Right.
It's a place most people get confused. They have the word essence in them. They fall under the umbrella of plant medicine, just like herbal medicine and tinctures and capsules and teas. But it's about the vibration. And so they don't have a smell, and they are ingested internally. So some people do ingest essential oils as well, but it has to be really good quality. Flower essences are ingested internally, and because they're vibration, they're completely safe for anyone and everything. So you don't have to worry about like the side effects if you're on a pharmaceutical, because they're working at a different layer.
Mm-hmm.
And flower essences specifically are for emotional healing. They will create physical healing as well, because we know everything's connected. But they're really for the full spectrum, from everyday overwhelm to, processing sexual assault and abuse and everything in between that happens. And I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I've never met anything that can't be helped or resolved with flower essences. So
wow.
When you collect the essence, you're using water and you're connecting to the plant or the tree. Most of the time you're like, oh, that rose bush has been calling me. I want to just sit and be with her. That tree in my backyard, I just want to go be with it. We all have these experiences. We just oftentimes blow them off, or go like, that tree's not really talking to me. And then you sit and you collect the essence or the spirit, and it sounds totally far out and completely intangible, and it's really a deep, intimate relationship with nature. And you learn about what the medicine that is from the plant, because every plant and tree has different medicine, just like every person has their unique medicine. And then you ingest it, and you start to see conditionings, limiting beliefs, wounds, traumas, pains, heartaches that you've been holding that have been affecting your present life begin to get touched in on in a very subtle and powerful way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's if you're in nature. What if you buy, like if you purchase flower essences, how is that liquid created? Have you then taken a piece of a plant and put it in the water, or how does that work?
You it's a little bit of a mental, heady process. I'm not going to go into the whole thing because it starts to get people super confused. Because it's actually easier with like a visual. But basically, when you collect this essence, wherever you are, it's called the mother essence. It's kind of like when people make kombuchas or sourdough, you kind of have the mother. And what you buy in the store is what's called the stock level. So it's been diluted. And with flower essences, it's this interesting idea that the more dilute it becomes, the more potentized it is.
Oh.
And we don't get that because we think,
it doesn't really make sense.
That makes it weaker.
Yeah.
But it's because it's going into the subtle layers. And so the more dilute, the deeper it goes. It's kind of like homeopathy in that way, is that, you have all these potentizations that you can buy. It's similar to that process. So at the store, you're buying what's called the stock level.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people are familiar with, seeing the Bach remedies.
Right, the rescue remedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, so when you buy that, then that's something that you ingest.
That you ingest, and it's safe for babies, children, animals,
Right.
grown-ups. And it works especially well for babies and children because they don't have years and years of junk and gunk to
Right.
process through. But they, of course, as you know, they have their own processes that are happening every day.
Yeah.
People who have animals, it works really well for animals, and of course for grown-ups.
Yeah.
So what you buy in the store is the stock, and actually you can dilute that even more at home to make it stronger.
Wow.
Most companies don't tell you that because they want you to buy.
They want you to come back. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But speaking of companies, you founded one called Gaia's Wisdom.
Gaia's Wisdom.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we were to go to your website, which by the way I checked out, and I think I'm obsessed. It's so amazing. You have so much good stuff on there.
Thank you.
What are we getting there? Is it the same sort of thing?
It'll be the same stock level.
Stock, right.
Yeah, so stock level. And again, the way that I tell people, if you're buying stock, you can take it from the stock, but it's not going to have as great of an impact. So if you put the amount of water that's like in a shot and put a couple drops from that stock bottle in there and take it, you're kind of diluting it.
Right.
But on Gaia's Wisdom, it's a little overwhelming because we have so many essences, and you're kind of like, I think I need all of them. And where do I start?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like what you said in the beginning, when I read the descriptions, it's like, I kind of need them all.
Yeah.
And the thing about flower essences is like, and you probably know this from doing your own emotional introspection, is we just peel the layers as we peel them,
True.
and we're ready to see what we're ready to see in each moment. So it doesn't really matter where you start, and you start wherever you feel pulled to. So if you're like, I'm really feeling, right now everyone's feeling
a lot,
all different things, right?
Yeah.
So you start with where you're at, and then as you take that essence, a lot is going to reveal itself that's been buried. And so when you take that and after 3 weeks or 4 weeks, there's all these other things that have come forward that you're like, oh, I want to work on these things now.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful gradual process.
Yeah.
Because it's of the spirit, it's only going to give you what you're ready to deal with, process, and release.
Yes, I see a lot of questions, some questions here. So we drink it. Yes, you do. And it is very safe to take it as well. I just wonder how now it's covering your face. I might turn off the comments, but if you guys have questions, you can leave them in the question box here, because I don't want to cover your beautiful face here. Let's see, I had a question about that. I really appreciate that you said that. That's totally what I'm feeling when I see all of them. I need that, I need that, I need that. And then there's almost another thing that overwhelms me, of just realizing how messed up I am, how much help I need, and where do I start? And then it becomes another stressful thing. It's so nice to just keep that in mind, that no, let me just start with the one that I feel the most drawn to right now, and then begin there, and then the rest will unfold itself. And I am gonna turn these off. See.
There's no right or wrong. You're not gonna hurt yourself or mess yourself up, and that's the beauty of flower essences, is that they're so accessible to us if you're willing. If you're willing to work on some of those things that have been challenging you, or that you've been tolerating, that you're tired of tolerating. There's no wrong place to begin. Of course, I've been doing it for so long that I know, there's better places to begin than others, but there's nothing will hurt you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes back to, because it is of the spirit. Yeah. It's spirit connecting with spirit. That is so beautiful. How soon can you begin to start noticing things, or, feeling these things come up, or even sensing healing? How quick can it right away?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I say that with the caveat that it also depends on what you're working with. So if somebody's like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm diving into the sexual abuse that I had 20 years ago. They may not feel something in a day. But if you're working on anxiety, overwhelm, agitation, irritability, which I feel like are like the trifecta of women's issues, you know, irritable, overwhelmed, depressed, anxious,
Yep.
then you'll feel it. If it's the right essence, which most of the time it is, no matter what, you'll feel it within 1 to 2 days. You'll feel you, like, I use this word and it's going to sound not very descriptive, but it's what I found to be a true word. You just start to feel good. Like you're not like, whoa, life is amazing and I feel the best I've ever been. But you kind of go, I think I feel better. I think I feel good. It's like, and that's why I love it, the subtlety of it. It's not because what I'm interested is healing.
Right.
Not health. And there's a big difference in health and healing, because health is like we do something, we start to feel better, and then it kind of plateaus, and then we go back.
Yeah.
You know, but healing is like this process, and you move through it with sustainability so that you actually get to the place you want to be and it sustains itself. And that, you know, that's, you know, to me, that's where it's at. And that's why I love flower essences.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Because if I look back at my life, you know, and I look at the highs that I've had, they felt amazing as they were happening, but it's so much easier to kind of fall down from that place and then go back. And then you just like bounce back and forth. But in those seasons of my life where I've just felt the balance and the harmony, it's been a little quieter, but it's just been this like low hum of well-being.
Yeah.
That's where change really happens. That's where healing really happens. I so agree with you.
I love that. I love what you just said, that like the hum of well-being. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Because I don't think it is loud. I mean, sometimes it's roaring and loud and it's fun, but I think we need that, that little hum. So you mentioned the box, the rescue remedy, and the things that we see in the stores, in some stores. What would you say is the difference between those and maybe homemade flower essences, or the ones that we can find even in Gaia's Wisdom, your company? Because it feels like there's probably a difference there.
Well, you know, there's so many companies right now that make extraordinary essences, you know, and it's becoming more and more popular, which is I mean, that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Bach was the originator, indigenous people and native people have been talking to plant spirits forever, but he was the originator of bringing the medicine into this form and more of like a tincture style.
Yeah.
And so he is really very well known and popular. And so his line of 36 essences are found in most health food stores. And most people are introduced to flower essences through the Bach line, including Rescue Remedy.
Right.
And I think they're great. I mean, I don't feel drawn to use them a lot. And the reason is, and this is not to bash Bach at all, because I have so much respect for him. My feeling is that, and this came to me a couple years ago, is that, you know, he made these actually in the Depression in the 1930s.
Oh.
And there's an energy with that, right? Like people were in despair. People were in very deep places, similar to now, but it was a different century. It was a different time. And so my feeling, like there's a couple Bach essences that I love that I will continue to use, but my feeling overall is that essences that are being produced now are in the frequency of what's happening now for people. And they're, to me, they're a little bit more potent for now. And the same will be true in 50 years, is that the Gaia's Wisdom may not be, you know, what's needed in 50 years. Somebody else is going to be bringing forward essences that are really specific to the people, to the place, to the time. So I love the English countryside where Bach created his essences, and I've created essences there as well. So I love them. I feel like there's ones now that are more useful.
Right.
And
Right.
I work specifically with women. So, a lot of the
Mm.
Gaia's Wisdom essences are for healing the womb and getting ready for pregnancy and postpartum and just really in the womb space of the feminine. So my lens is also from there as well.
I love that. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go lock the door. Otherwise, my kids are gonna run in here. they, they just came back from their walk, and I know what happens. They just barge in, and then
Oh,
that's
I
the end of
know.
our life.
I know.
Yeah, you know what? I would love to talk more about women,
Yeah.
and this kind of healing, because, well, first of all, I do think that women are just naturally more drawn to this kind of healing modality. Why is that?
I think flower essences are very feminine in nature.
Mm-hmm.
That when people talk about plants, they actually use the word her or she a lot.
That's
Even
true.
when they're
Right.
gardening or those rose, there's something about there. It's very feminine. And of course, Mother Earth, we see her
Mm-hmm.
as the great mother, and she's feminine. The
Mm-hmm.
feminine goddess. So I feel like flower essences in and of themselves are feminine. They're soft. They're not like
Mm-hmm.
that like directive
Like force.
masculine
Yeah.
energy. They're a slow unraveling, and
Mm-hmm.
then just as a stereotypical generalization of women, we're more ready to dive in and excavate our truths
Mm-hmm.
just as a species. And there's just a beautiful feminine aspect here.
Mm. I feel I was thinking, I was on your website last night, and there's so much beauty to read there as well. And I was connecting to, because you share a little bit about your life story on there, which I connected very much to, and I'm sure many women do. The fact that when we're little girls, like my daughter is now, she's 4.5, almost 5 actually, and there's just so much pleasure, there's so much self-expression, and almost no judgment, and she's just she's Maya, she's just her. And I know I used to be that way. And then life happened, and society happened, and I watched my parents and how they lived their life, and they did the best that they could, but they're human. And I started to just pull it back and down, and just like express myself a little bit less, judge myself a whole lot more, compare myself to others. And I was just killing that flame inside, and living smaller. And I feel like, we begin to fear our power. And like you wrote on your website, our masculine achievements in the doing, in the getting it done, in achievements, like that is the stuff that is celebrated. And then we reach, I mean, most of us reach a more mature age. Like I'm 35 right now. And now I'm finally starting to ask these questions that it's almost like a flower. It's like this slow unraveling, this slow opening that you were talking about. Just like, but wait a minute, who am I? What am I here to really be? Where is my joy? Where is my 5-year-old self that just expressed herself? And I wanted to talk a little bit about, because it feels so connected to the kind of healing modality that you work with flower essences. So would you say that flower essences is just a really powerful tool to have if you are on this kind of journey as a woman, finding your self-expression again?
I mean, absolutely. I have like some tears as you're talking, because I feel like it's just so much of our stories collectively of like this
Yeah.
expressive child and being squashed and formed either
Mm-hmm.
by our families or society. And I have a 4-year-old and too, and so I'm constantly looking at like, where does that happen? When does that happen? And
Yep.
how can I not allow that to happen? Or
Right.
if it happens, I have flower essences to help with the repair so that he doesn't hold this for 30 years. For me, when I'm working with flower essences, the place that I start is childhood. Because whatever's happening right now, whatever issues we're struggling with, they're not from now. They're from that time when you got swashed. They're from that moment when the innocence was lost. And we go back to that place, because if we only focus on getting you to feel good now, then in 2 days you're going to feel crappy again, right? So if we follow the thread of your story and go back to that Emily of the past and the things that hurt her and the things that gave her ache, we touch into the root. And that then, sends a pulse of light all the way back through that thread into where you are now. And, I really believe everything is repairable. I truly believe that. And anything that someone's feeling now, most likely based in the past, in that maiden self, can be transformed. I don't think we realize how much we are presently living in the past, right? So you're like, I'm 35 and I've got kids and I've got a husband and I've got this life, but we're making choices from our 10-year-old or our 4-year-old. And how can we really live in this present moment from like an adult self? And to me, that's been with flower essences, consistently showing up to feel all the discomfort and know what essences to take to work with that.
Right.
But our stories are so similar as women.
So similar.
So similar.
They really are. But it's very nice to hear that you're as hopeful as you are, that everything can be processed and transformed.
Well, when I was a doula, because I know Sakti was telling you the other day, I was a doula for 8 years. And I was a midwife assistant for 3 of those years. And, when you're watching a woman give birth and they're, the vaginal tissue and it's stretching and then it tears and then women are so freaked out. And I just remember a midwife saying once, the vaginal tissue is the most repairable tissue in the whole body. Like, it's amazing how it stretches and grows and maybe tears. And then it just totally finds its way back.
Right.
When she said that, I thought, if that's the case, then everything is repairable. And I really, truly believe that. If we put our attention and intention, everything can transform into wholeness.
I love that. It is so true. Let's talk a little bit about, you said the trifecta of what women are dealing with. I think you said irritability, overwhelm, and then the anxiety and depression, all that fun stuff, right?
Yeah. Right.
that we've all experienced and maybe still do. Yeah. And maybe we'll continue to. It's, life is a journey always. But what are some essences? Let's talk about specific essences.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll just let you take it from here. If we talk about those 3 things, whichever one you want to start with. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about overwhelmed. So, the thing about flower essences, I'm just going to speak really quickly, is, we come from a medical model of like, I'm feeling this, what do I take for this? So with flower essences, we can kind of do that, but it's also like, why is that here in the first place? Right? So when we talk about overwhelm, there's great essences, but we also want to go, what needs aren't being met that I'm feeling overwhelmed? Because that's like the juicier place, is like, what's actually going on that you're feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah.
And is it, when I feel overwhelmed, I often see my mom in myself when she was overwhelmed, and I go, oh, I'm totally repeating how she was. Yeah. And I'm not her. It's like, it's an awareness, right? We have to catch ourselves. But also right now people are overwhelmed. Like, you might have kids at home that are out of school and they're feeling emotions, or financially, or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
Some of my favorite essences for Overwhelm, the first one is elm tree, ELM, elm tree. And that's really for like daily overwhelm. Like I've got so many tasks and I'm losing my shit and I'm freaking out. Take elm, take elm, take elm, take elm.
For the
You'll
love of
just kind
God,
of
take
like,
elm.
you'll just kind of like chill a little bit and everything becomes a bit more manageable. Also with overwhelm, you can feel, you know, like really heady, like worried.
Yeah.
And so one of my favorite two essences are lemon balm and lavender. So
Right.
lemon balm, and we all know lavender is an essential oil, and it kind of works similarly as a flower essence of just like relaxing the system. And lemon balm really helps to relax the mind. Okay, I need to just quiet the mind a little bit here. Perhaps then I won't feel as overwhelmed. So, you know, there's so many for overwhelm, but we'll just start there. Elm,
Right.
lemon balm, lavender.
Amazing.
Let's say anxiety,
Yeah.
because mental health issues right now are being exacerbated, being at home and being separated from people. So anxiety is very similar to the overwhelm. And so the biggest thing with anxiety is how do we feel safe in our own selves,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Or even in the world.
Right.
So the trees, you know, I love trees and tree essences as kind of an overall really helps stabilize the system, right? Just like a tree, like they're strong, they're rooted. So every tree has some sort of stabilizing effect. So I was talking about elm for overwhelm, but it's also, it roots you. But for anxiety, red cedar. Red cedar is for safety. I feel safe.
Right.
You know, everything that we deal with comes from not feeling safe somehow.
Right. And then that fight or flight kicks in and you're just,
yeah, you either check out or you run away, right?
Yeah, completely.
Right. Yeah, so red cedar is a great one for pretty much everyone, but if you're feeling anxious and need to just, I feel safe in my body, red cedar will be really helpful. And a lot of essences that I define as protective. So protecting your kind of energetic field that's wobbly from the world that we live in. You know, we have these, we're not just bodies. We have these fields around us that get impacted. So Angelica flower is, she just provides this angelic protection that's a kind of similar to that safe feeling, but slightly different. Let's see. God, there's so many, so I'm just trying to.
So I can't say.
I know.
There's so much to say. So flower essences, that's like the umbrella. It's not just flowers. It is also trees.
Yes, thank you for saying.
Other plants, or what's under that umbrella? Because it's obviously easy to think that it's just flowers.
Yeah, thank you. So it's flowers, it's trees. Some people collect gem essences. So the essence from stones, crystals, gems, elemental essences. It's kind of, you know, to me, again, depending on your frame of understanding, it's anything that has spirit. You can collect, but it falls under, flower essences, even though they're not all flowers. It can be mushrooms. It can be, I mean,
mushrooms we're learning now are really powerful.
Yeah, mushroom essences actually are really amazing for toxicity in the body.
Right.
So, yeah. So when you're having, I mean, this is a whole other conversation, but if you have like the MTHFR gene mutation, where you can't methylate toxicity, or you live in a city where there's a lot of toxins, mushroom essences are amazing for moving toxicity from the body.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with flower essences is like you kind of enter thinking like, oh, this is going to be really like kind of narrow and maybe simple. But the reason it's kept my engagement for 20 years is it's so vast and it's so rich and there's so much that you can do. And I'm always still learning. Always.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This runs deep.
Yeah.
So we were talking about anxiety.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you gave us three. This was just great. Elm tree and the red cedar and angelica.
Okay, yeah. What else we were talking about?
Overwhelm, anxiety. What was that?
Irritability.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh,
yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
I love, in herbal medicine, there's a plant called Motherwort, and it's sort of like the mother's herb for irritability. And I think it's true for flower essences as well. And part of that irritability, a lot of times, has to do with the fact that we're not making really powerful boundaries for ourselves, right? We're just in habit. We're like, okay, I guess I'm the one who has to make the lunch again. I'm the one that has to do the laundry again, and I'm the one that's doing this again. And all these ways that we're deprioritizing ourselves in service to others. And as moms, we do this
right
all the time. And as partners, we do this all the time. And they're conditioned patterns that we get into. And then we're pissed. Then we're just like, I don't like this. I don't like to be irritable, but I am. And so Motherwort is amazing flower essence for creating boundaries, like healthy and appropriate boundaries, not reactive boundaries, but just, hey, this is what's going to serve me and therefore serve us all. And this is my boundary. And Motherwort is like my favorite flower essence because boundaries are such an issue for women and they're so scared of making them because I'm going to hurt somebody. I'm going to let somebody down if I make a boundary. Right. And Motherwort is like, she works really seamlessly in the sense of I've had so many clients over there going like, no way can I say that to my mom. Like, no way can I be on the phone with her and say, you know what, mom, it's time for me to go and hang up. Motherwort just like, she just changes and all of a sudden you're making boundaries and it's easy. So highly recommend Motherwort. And also, kind of with that is a great essence is Buttercup. And Buttercup is for your self-worth. So we can't make boundaries if we don't believe we're worthy of having that. And that all plays into our irritability, right? We're not just irritable because we are, it's because we've created these murky or non-boundaries and it doesn't feel good after a while.
Yeah.
And of course, there's other things to be irritated in the world about right now, like children sold into sex slavery and people who abuse the earth. And I mean, there's so much to be angry about. And in our homes, there's also a lot of irritation amongst women.
Right. We need to look at those smaller things.
Yeah.
And I love that you made a point that, as we take this is so helpful and healing, but what will really transform us is if we also do that work together with taking the flower essences of paying attention to and being aware of what comes up and the reasons that we're feeling the irritability or the reasons that we're overwhelmed. And just making the effort and taking the time to just sit with that and see what it is so that you also show up for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like when you use flower essences from that way, they really fast track the process because we often go like, I don't know how to do this, or I've been working on this for 10 years. Why am I still frustrated or agitated? And flower essences they just fast track things.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love what you said about the irritability, you know, how we need to remind ourselves of our self-worth and the fact that it is so hard for us to set boundaries. And we talked about this on our other live on Tuesday, how women, we're just wired to do this thing where we think if we sacrifice ourselves and if we deprive ourselves, then we are true mothers and we love people the right way. And it's all in that pain and the anguish that, oh, but we are showing up for life, right? And of course there's always sacrifice in life, and you know, even service can be a sort of self-sacrifice, but there's beauty in that. But the way that we tell ourselves that we need to suffer if we are doing life right, it's just so backwards. And I'm so guilty of this myself. And I don't have the answers, but I just know that that is not the truth. So connecting back to the things that feed us, that then reminds us of our self-worth, so that we can learn to set these healthy boundaries. Because what is more beautiful than teaching our children that this is what boundaries look like, and they are healthy and they are good, and this is what it looks like to take care of ourselves. It may mean that I have to leave you for 5 minutes, but you will survive and you will learn something from this. You'll know what it looks like to take care of yourself. So this is it's a lifelong process.
It is. And I think it's different for every person, you know, what feels good for each of us. And, you know, I just want to say, like, with a lot of our patterns, they're actually really beautiful, right? Like caretaking and serving others, like there's so much beauty. It's just like that fine line where you're like good and you're whole, and then you're suffering. And it's just catching ourselves when we move into, I'm not feeling empowered in this pattern anymore. I'm actually now suffering.
Yeah.
And how do I want to change it? Because we don't want to negate the beauty of prioritizing others and caring. It's the same in labor. You know, I bring so much back to labor. Like you're in a place where you're empowered and you're like, yeah, the contractions, and then you're like, get this thing over with, and I'm suffering. Right? And there's just a line.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware of that in our own selves and honest with our own selves. And that's the best place to begin.
Yeah, it's so true. And the world needs these attributes that come very naturally to us women.
Exactly. Do you want me to do more, like, here's flower essence for this, or do you want to just keep talking?
No, let's maybe do another, if you feel called to share a little bit more. I think that will be really great. And then I would love to know, we should definitely mention the website to Gaia's Wisdom, so that people can see what you have there.
Okay.
Where you can all find these things that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'd love to share that. That would be great. Thank you. Trying to think. Okay, so anxiety, overwhelm, people pleasing.
Yes.
That's a good one.
I feel like this is like my personal session with you, and I'm taking notes.
I mean, these are all just, you know, women's stories, right? So people pleasing is, I think every woman has that quality. And so that's really connected to guilt and guilt imprints, right? If I don't please someone, they're not going to like me. I'm going to hurt someone, and I'm going to feel really bad. So there's a whole guilt piece, and guilt is actually really deep. You know, we can access anger, irritation, sadness, overwhelm much more quickly, but guilt is like, it hides, so we don't even realize we're acting from guilt. One of my favorite essences that we have in Gaia's Wisdom is called white hyssop. And white hyssop is, she's an ally for guilt and the associated feelings we have with guilt. Like, we actually may feel a lot of sorrow from all the guilt we've been carrying. We also may feel a lot of anger for all the guilt we've been feeling. Just what you were saying, like, when you were your daughter's age and you were just like freely expressed, there was something that made you feel wrong.
Mm-hmm.
for being that. And so that's
Right.
like, oh, that's the first layer of guilt.
Yep.
I'm wrong, I'm bad. And so we start, especially as women, because we actually our brains are wired to do this. We go, well, how can I be good?
Mm.
Right? And it's really like, it's the good girl syndrome that we
Yeah.
all have. And
Yeah.
all of our parents going, whenever we act a way that they like, going, you're such a good girl, you're
Yeah.
such a good girl. So the white hyssop is going to be amazing. And whatever other beliefs that somebody has with that. So we can even circle back to the buttercup that I was sharing about, so that I can kind of use similar essences, so you're not getting overwhelmed. I'm not giving you 50 different essences.
Right. Awesome.
But buttercup for this time of, like, I don't feel worthy. And it's because of guilt
Mm-hmm.
that you don't feel worthy.
Right.
There's also an amazing essence that we have called Queen of the Meadow.
Ooh.
And it's really about resurrecting that queenly self, and that aspect really connects to people pleasing, because the queen, the great queen, she serves her people beautifully.
Yeah.
She also knows how to take really good care of herself.
Yes.
And so queen, did I say Queen of the Meadow?
Yes.
Did I say, I meant Queen Anne's lace. Sorry.
Oh.
But she is Queen of the Meadow. Queen Anne's lace. So depending on where you are in the world, you probably have seen a lot of these flowers I'm talking about. Queen Anne's lace looks like beautiful lace. But it's about, I'm a queen, and I'm going to choose to treat myself and believe that I'm a queen. And there's all these ramifications that come from that. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on.
I was just thinking, what's going to happen to the world if every woman on this planet can tap into that, even for 5 minutes? What the
Even,
hell
if every woman, there's an essence that we have called red avapui ginger from Maui.
Oh.
That is like the turned on, juiced up woman. Wow. Any woman here want to feel like that? Red avapui ginger is just like, I am turned on in my own self. I have my own pleasure. I please my own self. And that's my come from when I then take care of others. So,
right. So it's not like a selfish thing at all, which I'm sure many of our minds are going to right now. It's like, why would I deserve so much pleasure? And then, but it's from that rich well that we can then give to others and show up.
Yeah, we don't need any more depleted, irritated women. We've got enough of them. We've been living like that for long enough. We've been tolerating those aspects. And more than that, we've been normalizing.
Yeah.
You have kids, you have a husband, you have a partner. Like, of course you're overwhelmed and irritated. But that just normalizes and makes us feel okay. But meanwhile, we're like, I don't like how I feel. This doesn't feel good.
Right.
And we don't have to feel shitty. That's just a way to suppress us as women, is my belief. Like, as a political belief, it's a way to suppress us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other.
I know.
I'm
sweating.
That's another like 35 hours of conversation.
I know.
Somebody asked a good question. Is there any specific time of day that one should take this? And is there a limit to how many you can take in a day? And
yeah, so generally the dosage that I recommend is 3 drops 3 times per day. So you may feel like, whoa, this feels so good, I want to take it more. And it's sort of that same line of thought that I was sharing before. If you take more, it doesn't actually create more of an impact. Actually, when you take less, it creates an impact. So you're basically taking 9 drops a day. 9 drops, not a dropper full. 3 drops 3 times a day. If you're consistent and you use something for an essence for a full month, you will see major change.
Wow. Incredible. And what is your website?
So I have 2 websites.
That's right.
Yeah. So one is the Woman Rising Mystery School. The Woman Rising Mystery School we have just a lot of programs and trainings that teach us the ancient ways, really. And the ancient ways, we're working closely with the plants. So we have actually a flower essence home study course that perhaps you might be interested, those listening. It's just 4 weeks, and it's an intro. We also have a flower essence practitioner training program. If you're like, whoa,
Wow.
I want to do this. I want to learn all of this. And then we have our other website, which is gaiaswisdom.com, the wisdom of the earth.
Gaia.
S. Gaia's
Wisdom.
Gaia's Wisdom. And that has all of the essences and explains each essence. And of course, if you have questions, you can write us and we respond. And we also have a private Facebook group where I do a lot of different lives on different topics that women are experiencing, where we can get a little bit more deeper into womb health and sexual health with flower essences or postpartum. So there's just so much to learn. This is kind of a little morsel.
Yeah, we're just dipping our toes in it right now.
Yeah.
And I actually last night I downloaded one of your, I think it's a guided meditation on how to cleanse the energy around you, because I'm sure that many women are the way that I'm an empath, so sometimes I just don't know what's my stuff, what's their stuff, and it's just like all meshed together, which creates a lot of complicated things in me, and it's hard to sleep, and sometimes we just need to learn how to, or not sometimes, we just need to learn how to cut it off at times.
That's a really beautiful meditation. I actually created it when all was happening with oh my gosh, I'm spacing her name, with the Supreme Court judge and the woman who came forward.
Oh my gosh. Same thing is happening to me. I know exactly what you're talking about, of course.
Yeah.
But
Well, I created it then because we were all feeling the collective of women.
Right.
It's a great, great meditation. And I want to finish with one last essence, because I know we're almost at time here, is that for empaths, for women who I think probably follow you and are listening now, who take on other people's traumas, wounds, beliefs, whatever, the best essence is yarrow. Yarrow essence goes, okay, this is mine, and I'm going to hold this. This is yours, and I'm going to give all of this back to you. So yarrow is amazing. Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all so exciting. This is so great. I think it's so important that we talk about the solutions that we have around us, and how we can heal and be on this journey together. So guys, Woman Rising Mystery School, check them out. And then Gaia's Wisdom for all these flower essences. If you go to the link in my bio, you can sign up for AMMA's emails, and we will let you know as soon as these videos are released, so you can watch it all over again. We also add a blog to it where everything is written down, so it's like a recap of everything that we've talked about. And I just want to thank you so much for your time, Ameya. This was incredible. So wonderful and so beautiful and so helpful. And I want to thank all of you guys who tuned in and joined us in this conversation. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Emily, and Satya too. And my prayer really deeply is that this serves and facilitates healing and wholeness. So thanks for having me.
I hope we get to do it again soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.